Well, we continue to see this weird, wacky weather pattern at the moment across western portions of Europe, and it continues and it will continue for the next few days to come. Thanks for clicking on to the Friday evening edition of Vogan's European Outlook. This was the scene at Dromoctor Pass on the A9 this afternoon. Very bleak conditions here, quite often a bleak spot, of course, when the weather is bad. But yeah, the snow is back once again after mild temperatures during the course of yesterday. We've seen, of course, the snow and the cold over that kind of really only affected areas north of Inverness a couple of days ago. We've seen that retreat back up into the up into Orkney, and then it kind of came back south as the area of low pressure to the west moved east and opened the door to the cold and the snow once again. So temperatures back in the low single figures again after seeing a recovery to about 9, 10, 11 degrees yesterday afternoon. So very, very up and down weather pattern at the moment. It's quite a turbulent setup that we've got at this moment in time. And over the next couple of days, as we go into the weekend, we're going to see a continuation of chilly winds coming in from the north with rain, sleet, and snow showers. Ice a problem once the sun goes down tonight, and we're going to see that over the first half of the weekend. Interesting flip in the temperature profile across Iberia. These were the temperatures a couple of mornings ago. We had several spots of -8 Celsius, as you can see here. Some parts of the Spanish Pyrenees, by the way, just a few days ago, was reporting temperatures as low as -23. So, mid-winter level cold recent times across this portion of the world. And of course, I've explained in recent days the reason why. Of course, we had the cold initially over the UK, then the warmth came in, and it can enhance the cold over France and Spain over recent days. This, by the way, is the current temperatures over Iberia, and it was highlighted on this channel that we could see temperatures approach 30 degrees, and that is exactly what we're getting on the east coast here, right around the Valencia area, points to the north and points to the south. We've got this kind of pocket here. I'm assuming anyway that it's probably winds coming in from the mountainous interior down towards the Mediterranean coast. We're seeing these temperatures jack up into the upper 20s, and even quite widely areas that we're seeing the -8 to close to -10. We're seeing mild temperatures here over the course of this afternoon here, and we're going to see warmer air in the next few days as well here. Looking at the current setup here, this is what we're looking at. We've got, of course, that area of low pressure edging towards Denmark. We've got, of course, a very active boundary here, bringing all sorts of nasty weather through the heart of France and into the eastern Low Countries, into Germany as well. And the reason why is because we've got a big contrast in temperature. Now, actually, 850s aren't overly dramatic here, but remember what we're talking about. We're talking about temperatures close to 30 degrees in parts of East Coast Spain, while we're talking about temperatures in the UK stuck in single figures. We've got slightly milder air down across the south of England, but over on the whole, from really the north coast of Scotland down towards the Midlands, we're talking about single figure temperatures, wind chill at or slightly below freezing through this afternoon here. But it's this zone right here, separate the cold from the warm, that we're seeing a lot of weather and some very nasty conditions as well. As we play it through the loop, you can see here that we've got another area of low pressure that comes in west to east, moves across France, bringing more spells of nasty, severe weather across this region of the world. We've got, of course, an area of high pressure to the west, low pressure to the east. We've got that northerly flow bringing a mix of precipitation and chilly air through the course of Friday. And then as we push into the weekend, we're going to see that area of high pressure kind of nudge its way in, calm the winds down, and we're going to see some fairly frosty nights in response to that. All the while, down across Iberia, if we look back at the 850 millibar temperatures, we're starting to see milder air getting pushed up into Spain, and we're keeping our eyes close on this collision between the warm coming north, the cold continuing to filter in from the north here, and it's very interesting to see exactly how warm it gets across parts of eastern Spain. Wouldn't be surprised, by the way, if we're seeing that area around Valencia down towards Murcia. Temperatures in the low, is it possible? Maybe even mid 30s. I don't know. It depends on sunshine, wind, and all sorts of other dynamics that are in place. You can see here, of course, we've got a dump of cold air in the central and eastern portions of Europe here. But that mild air, by the way, this is actually Tuesday at 3 a.m. Next week, and that mild air is trying to push its way up into the southern portion of the UK. All the while, we've got chilly 850 temperatures over Scotland. So even here, we could see some significant temperature differences across the north of the UK, maybe 10 degrees, for example. Might even be talking about low 20s in southern portions of the British Isles with this type of setup, especially if you've got areas of low pressure to the west. And of course, you've got this plume of very warm air lifting out of Iberia up through France and into the southern portion of the British Isles here. We'll look at the overview chart. You can see that here, the setup that's in place. Thundery shower activity here, extending anywhere from the western side of Iberia over the Pyrenees, western side of France, up into the southwest of England, so kind of Somerset, up through Cardiff, eastern portion of Wales here. This is of course just a snapshot, but all the while we've got very warmer over Iberia and should I say Libya, and lifted up through the Balearic Islands here, up through eastern portions of France and into the UK here. So quite an interesting setup, that's for sure. And we're seeing this back and forth, which is very fascinating to watch as we go forward. Has been quite an interesting spring, more so than winter actually. Then as we play through the loop here, by the way, we've got areas of low pressure to come through. There's still a lot of high pressure around as well. And it's interesting how the GFS actually indicates by the time we reach Monday the 18th of April. Look at that area of high pressure over Scandinavia here and follow the isobars. They're connecting up around the base of this ridge here. And could we be sniffing? Is the model sniffing out some sort of an easterly flow underneath an area of Scandinavian high pressure? Very possible indeed. Listen, see, even if we start to see warmer conditions developing, don't be entirely surprised if we still get another shot of cold air. Yeah, we're living in borrowed time. It is, by this stage, approaching the latter half of April, or at least the final 15 days of the month. And, anything's possible with this type of spring pattern that we've got, really. And if you look at the 850 millibar temperature chart here, you can actually see this rather. It's a pretty extreme pattern, really, when you think about it, because there's actually colder air trying to come in underneath that area of high pressure. But look at the amount of heat that's coming out of Africa up into Spain and Portugal. We've got some very warm air at 850 millibars pushing into the southern half of the UK. And then if you notice here that as I play it through it, the cold air is trying to push its way towards the west as well. So we've got a collision of air masses here, a real fight, a real battle between summer trying to push northwards, winter trying to hold on across the northern portions of the continent here. So a very interesting battle, that's for sure here as we go forward. So there's nothing boring really about this spring, I don't think. Let's have a look at some of these tweets, by the way, that I've put out in recent days. If I get to my account, it would actually help. And it's interesting to see this here chart. So this was actually the temperature anomaly chart here for the month of March. Very dry continent, apart from Spain. You notice here Spain and Portugal pretty wet, but it was a very, very dry March overall. And you look at that, and you think to yourself, could there be shades of 2012 here? I don't know, because the reason why I think I don't know is because April turned on its head and it became a very wet April, and we had the development of an El Nino back in 2012 at that year. And of course, that was one of my worst summer forecasts, because I actually went by the very dry February and March. Then I believed that we were going to have a great summer ahead, and it just completely flipped around. And what I didn't see was the El Nino the El Nino that developed, and we had a very cold or cool, wet summer. In fact, I think it actually surpassed 2007 as being one of the wettest summers on record for the UK. But this year is quite different because we still have the La Nina in place. We still have the hints that may linger actually even into the summertime. And if you play through the sequence here of the GFS ensemble, this is a precipitation anomaly. And you can see here that's a rather dry pattern and a dry outlook through the remainder of April here. And there's a lot of indication that the models are sniffing out that Azores high becoming a little bit more dominant during the second half of the month. We'll keep our eyes on that because there is also a real fight here because the models are also indicating a Scandinavian block developing. So what do we get? Do we get the surge of heat from the Azores high, or do we get that Scandinavian block keeping, the winter is trying to hold on to kind of winter cold, albeit the sun's becoming stronger and stronger, and of course, cold at this time of the year is very different to back a couple of months ago, of course. But these are all interesting things that I'm looking at, and certainly I'm looking at in terms of the summer forecast because the month of April is a very important month. Rainfall distribution, sea surface temperatures, and of course the sea surface temperatures over the North Atlantic are warming up once again. So that has impact on the atmosphere as we go towards the warm season as well. So all very interesting things to look at as we go forward. But certainly a wintry flavour to the weather at the moment. We're going to continue to see that in through the first half of the weekend. Then we'll keep our eyes on that warmth down across Iberia and across Africa. That is going to try to push northwards, I think, during the early portion of next week. And it'll be interesting to see what we get from that here. But the battle, the fight in the atmosphere continues. And I will continue to keep you up to date as much as I can. If you haven't already, please sub to the channel and keep up to date with the videos. Please like and, of course, share with your friends and family as well. I do appreciate you watching the videos and, of course, drop a comment as well. So enjoy the rest of your Friday, and I will hope to be back again tomorrow with more. Bye for now.